subscribe to our videos so that more people can hear the Word of God.
Good morning, and welcome to 5 Minutes a Day with God. And we are in John chapter 12 right now, and we are entering the last week of Jesus' life. So, going to read verses 1 to 8, and today's title is Dinner at Bethany. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served, while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Then Mary took a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of perfume. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, who was later to betray him, objected. "Why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages." He did not say this because he cared about the poor, but because he himself was a thief. As keeper of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put in it. "Leave her alone," Jesus replied. "It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." All right, so we're going to stop right there. And so most likely what's happening here, the scholars believe, is there is a party that has been thrown for the men of the village to celebrate that Lazarus was dead and now he's alive. And Jesus did that. And so can you imagine? This was an amazing party, right? This is a great thing. Many people had witnessed Lazarus dying. They witnessed him going into the tomb. And here he is alive. And so it's hosted at the home of Simon the leopard, and Martha was a hostess. So they believe that he's probably a close relative. So Martha was playing host, she was getting the food ready, and Simon the leper, maybe he had a bigger home, and so he was able to host the party. So the men of the village came while the women served. All right, so while this was happening, Mary took a pound of oil, right? It was very costly. And she came to wash the feet of Jesus. Now, it was very common that when people came into your home that you would wash your guests' feet, right? Because they were wearing sandals, it was a desert. And when they ate, they were reclining kind of on a couch. They were right next to each other. So someone's feet could be in someone's face, right? So you wouldn't want your feet to be all smelly of like camel dung, right? And so it's very common. So that's what they would do, is they would wash their feet. And so that they could be, in intimate close quarters, reclining on these couches as they're eating their food. So this is the thing, though, that made the situation unique that I want to point out. One, it was in the middle of the meal. So usually you would get your feet washed when you walked in. So he probably already had his feet, superficially washed or whatever, like with water. But so this was something special, and this was happening in the middle. And it was with a very expensive oil. Usually that would not happen. They would wash their feet with water, right? And then Mary used her hair as a towel. And this is huge because Jewish women did not let their hair down in public. So for her to let her hair down, it was a very humble thing to do. So she wasn't, restraint, right? So think about that moment of that she was lost in worship. Maybe she was just worshiping Jesus because she was so thankful that Jesus rescued her brother from death, right? So think of maybe that time when you're lost in worship and maybe you're singing a little loud or you're dancing around or you're on your face, right? You don't care about what other people are seeing or doing. All you care, you are lost in the worship of Jesus. And so that's basically what was happening here. And so then Judas objects. And at first glance, it's like, okay, yeah, you make sense, Judas. That was a lot of money. Think about it. This jar of oil was worth a year's wages. Like, we can't even fathom that, right? A whole year's wages. And you think, okay, that sounds nice. Let's sell it and give it to the poor. But no one knows this at this time but Jesus, that Judas was a thief, right? And Jesus knew that. And so his motive wasn't pure, because he would want access. Think of all that money that he could have access in holding the treasure box. And so let's look at the contrast between Mary and Judas at this time. So Mary's was devotion. Mary's interaction with Jesus was all about devotion. And Judas was all about his upcoming betrayal. And think about it. Both people, both Judas and Mary, were disciples of Jesus. They sat at his feet. They heard his teaching. They saw him perform these amazing miracles. But there was two different responses that reveal the status of their hearts, right? So Judas successfully hid his actions from everyone but Jesus, right? So he had that religious facade that on the outside everything was good, but on the inside his motives weren't good, his heart wasn't good, he wasn't changed, he wasn't repentant. Where on the other side, Mary was full of devotion, full of love, and full of worship for Jesus. So I want to ask you, friend, who are you in this story? Who are you in this story? Are you just playing through the motions and just saying the right things and doing the right things on the outside, and maybe going to church and even having Bible study, but inside your heart still hasn't been changed? Inside you're still doing things in secret that no one knows about? Or are you like Mary, fully abandoned in worship of our Jesus? So just want to leave that with you today. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, 5 minutes of the Word can change your life.